Is this sort of in an odd way an aggressive exit ramp? We're ramping up. We're sending Putin the message. Nope, this isn't working the way you thought it was going to work, and you're really going to hate this now. And this is suddenly leverage, new leverage we have that perhaps we didn't before. Is that too? Are we overthinking this? Am I overthinking this, General?
Well, you're about 2 laps ahead of me, Chuck. I mean, but that's not an unreasonable conclusion. Look, I was in Kyiv just 2 days ago. I had the chance to speak with President Zelensky. He is not confused about the threat. He understands the very serious nature of the threat on his borders as well as inside the occupied territory of Ukraine. Obviously, he has a different view than the White House of the nature and the scale of that threat. I think what the administration is doing is prudent because it does take time to move troops. Even across Europe, it takes time. Mm-hmm. The Stryker squad that's going to move from Vilsek, Germany, to Romania is ideal. It's a wheeled vehicle, lots of capability. And of course, you know, France has already declared that it will send a battle group to Romania as well. So this is not just the United States. And finally, as Courtney knows, up in the Baltic region, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, there are already enhanced forward presence battle groups with troops from UK, Germany, Denmark, Canada, and so on. So this is, to me, is very prudent, and it gives our political leaders some options.
What does a diplomatic resolution here look like that gives Putin an exit ramp that he would accept, General?
So I think 3 things. First of all, there are things that we're already doing, but we can let him declare victory and then leave. First of all, more transparency. The Russians never live up to anything that they signed, particularly the existing agreements on more transparency. And frankly, every time I hear a senior Russian official speak, I award them 10 Pinocchios. But if we could say, look, we're going to double down on the existing transparency processes that are already there. I loved it when I had Russian inspectors visit my barracks and visit our exercises, because then they could see how good our soldiers were. I thought that was useful. Let's double down on that and offer it to them. The second thing, I think we could guarantee today that Estonia is never going to attack Russia, that Lithuania is never going to attack Russia. Of course, this is ridiculous, but let's make a joint statement that says we guarantee, like we haven't for the last 70 years, we are not going to attack Russia, and let President Putin take credit for that and then go home.
You think NATO, you feel like NATO nations together would make that statement?
I think it's worth considering, and it sounds ludicrous on its face, but if that's what he's looking for is some kind of guarantee, great. We have been guaranteeing the border of the Soviet Union and Russia since the founding of NATO. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia was at its weakest. Not one vehicle from NATO crossed that border. So let's expose it for what it is, declare we guarantee we will never invade Russia.
I'm curious, there seemed to be, whether it was a trial balloon or just one idea. I had Senator Dick Durbin on my show on Sunday, and he said, look, Ukraine's a sovereign nation. If they make the decision to publicly declare they don't want to be a member of NATO for X number of years, you know, perhaps that's a way to resolve this. You think that's a real option?
No, I don't. With all due respect to Senator Durbin, first of all, that would be political suicide for any Ukrainian president or any Ukrainian government. So that's not going to happen. And when I listened to President Zelensky the other day, I was struck by how serious they are about their sovereignty, about fighting, and the idea that they would forfeit the option of asking themselves to continue to apply for NATO membership. They know that that would just be like throwing raw meat to the Russian bear, and the problem would not go away.